सुन लो मेरी एक बात. Hi, my name is Meghnad. मालवीय नगर के निवासी की करूँ देखभाल. नेता नहीं यूजुअल, मैं फ्री की नहीं फेंकता. तो ईवी की मशीन पर कलम को चुनो एक बार.
तुझको क्यों मैं वोट दूं?
Cause I bring some hope to you.
भाई एक वोट भी नहीं आएगा.
Honestly, I know it too. But I'm in this game, I know the rules. Choose me, I'll show it to you. I'm just trying to walk the talk, cause that's what we're supposed to do.
That's from the music video released by Meghnad, the independent candidate from Malviya Nagar Assembly constituency that is going to the polls on the 5th of February like the rest of Delhi. Now, if you followed Meghnad on social media, then you know of his love affair with civics, policy, politics, citizenship, and all his effort to create content that makes these subjects popular and accessible to the people who follow him and enjoy watching him. He's now merging his virtual and real worlds by hitting the ground in Malviya Nagar. He's got himself on the ballot there and he's now looking and asking for votes. I'd like to say that Meghnad's quest is almost quixotic. And to understand what I mean by that, let's just quickly go across to Meghnad. Meghnad, Malviya Nagar ka Don Quixote.
Hello, hi. Thank you. You described as a quixotic. I think that's very appropriate. I describe it as Sisyphus rolling a rock up the mountain and letting it fall down again, then doing it again, then doing it again, until you start enjoying the process almost because you have no option. So it's a little absurd, is how I look at it honestly. I'll start with why I'm doing this. Right? I mean, it's just a mostly out of curiosity, right? As I said, as you perfectly described, like I have done like 13 years of work where I'm understanding the system, matlab, in a way that I was first working with MPs for 7 years, so I got a very good ringside view of the parliament, how lawmaking works, how policies are implemented or not implemented. More importantly, you can make all the policies in the world, but if they are not getting implemented, if you're not actually able to build that 30 kilometer of road because of multiple reasons, it's kind of pointless. Then I basically got a little disillusioned, honestly speaking, with politics in general, or policy making, because it's kind of frustrating after a point. I was like, I'll do journalism. And in journalism, what I mean is that I started by doing educational series like Constitution, Sansad Watch, where I'm explaining how things work in a language that people understand, normal people understand. Then I also like stepped into like covering elections and covering current affairs, etc. I did that for 5 years. Then I started my own YouTube channel because honestly I wanted to do some experimental content, like especially live streaming. I wanted to create a community of like-minded people. You can call it an echo chamber if you want, but I can tell you my echo chamber is amazing. Like extremely smart people, extremely solution oriented people, positive people, people who still trust in democracy, right? And that is somewhat what I also like preach, if you want to call it that, right?
Meghnad, tell us a little bit about this change of perspective, right?
Yep.
From commenting from outside and then commenting from inside, where I've been following you on X and all your tweets talking about, you need people to propose your name. You're looking for people who can then you can file your nomination papers. You have to get your finances in order. So many declarations have to be made. How was that process? And now that you're inside the ring, what do you make of India's electoral democracy, something that we're so proud of, and
Yeah.
yet also we feel so let down by, right? And
Yeah.
get so cynical about.
Yeah. Okay, so I call this Project Anda, what I'm
Yeah.
doing right now, right? The reason why I'm calling it Project Anda, because my end objective, honestly speaking, was to get my name on the ballot, right?
Mm.
Winning or losing was never a question for me, because I wanted to document the entire process of how to get on a ballot. I don't have a party, I don't have cadre, I don't have much money. I'm a YouTuber, right?
Mm.
Fortunately, I have a flexible job, which is actually a very big advantage I have, as opposed to other people.
And also you're getting superb content, right? Your
Precisely.
experiences are content which then feeds back into what your goal is as a content creator.
Precisely. And
Mm,
also, this is about content.
mm.
I'm not hiding it, right?
Sure.
People are like, oh, ye
Yeah,
content banane ke liye kar raha hai. I say yes, because that is literally my job.
yeah,
For example, all politicians right now, they have a profession, like lawyer politician,
yeah,
businessman politician,
sure.
farmer politician. I am a content creator politician, right? So I am doing my job as a content creator. I'm creating content out of what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And it is actually feeding into each other. What
yeah.
is so wrong with that? Um, at least I'm creating content that is worthy of
Mm,
normal people to watch, and they're learning something out of it.
mm,
They're getting some value benefit out of it. It's actually very interesting, Anuradha. Like, ever since I started this project, no, it's so heartening to see, like, 18, 19 year olds, now that my number has become public, call me, and they're like कि भैया आप जो कर रहे हो उससे मुझे इतना इंस्पिरेशन आया, मैं जब इलेक्शन लड़ूंगा ना, प्लीज मेरी हेल्प कर देना. मैंने भी सोचा है इलेक्शन लड़ने का. If 19-year-olds are thinking they want to fight elections, which I was at one point of time, I
mm,
was a 21-year-old who wanted to
mm,
stand for elections. I just got extremely disillusioned. So
mm,
if there are 21, 22-year-olds who are like, 3 साल है मेरे पास, 3 साल के बाद मैं भी independent लूंगा, I am so proud of that. Which is, you stop being a spectator, you stop being just a voter, just go become a candidate. As a commentator, you are constantly highlighting the problems, right?
mm,
Now
mm,
that I'm a candidate,
mm,
if I highlight the problem, people are turning around and asking, tera solution kya hai? What is your solution for this, right? I know the problem, like everybody's telling me the problems,
mm,
you were telling me the problem, what is your solution?
mm,
It has sort of forced me to think a little differently, which
mm,
is exactly what I wanted as well. Now that I'm on in the ring, I want people to put me on a spot. I should be forced to find answers, right? For example, I've been going around Malviya Nagar all the time, matlab, in this entire process, talking to people, asking them ki problems kya hai area ke. One of the big problems is garbage,
mm.
right?
Garbage collection.
Garbage, just garbage,
Yeah.
like, it's everywhere,
Mm,
right? It's a dirty constituency and people are not happy about it. I've been thinking about this also, like, I mean, waste segregation is such a simple thing, right? I segregate my waste, but I know that I see it every day, that when they are putting it in the truck, it goes together, right? So can compost pits be an option? Why can't an MLA basically ask, like, the local park to open up a compost pit, and the garbage person who collects it, segregated waste, the wet waste goes into there, rest goes out, like, so the half of the waste is dealt with in this place, it reduces the garbage. The second thing is, garbage to आसमान से आता है नहीं ना,
mm,
लोग ही करते हैं, right? But you will never find a politician going and screaming at people, asking them to not litter, right? They are so obsessed with making people fall in love with them, getting
mm,
their votes, pleasing them all the time, that they do not speak the truth.
mm,
All admired leaders that I follow, Dr. Ambedkar se leke everyone, right?
mm,
They are very harsh people. They tell people the truth. They tell people that bhai, kachra mat karo. Like,
mm.
it's such a simple thing.
So garbage is an issue. I was reading about Malviya Nagar, and it seems that water which means drainage, is an issue. Sewage is an issue. Air quality is not just Malviya Nagar; it's a Delhi issue. Besides
It's
garbage,
very fascinating how I did not expect people to actually talk about this, because one of the things that you've been hearing in the media is that, oh, people also don't care about air quality. Honestly, when I'm talking about it, I rated it at number 3. People are talking about bad air. They are frustrated कि कोई solution क्यों नहीं दे रहा है,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
The solutions have to come from leaders, right? If you're constantly just talking about the problem, everybody knows the problem.
hmm,
तुम्हारा काम है यार solution ढूंढना, ढूंढो ना solution. And according to me, right now the solution is to compromise.
hmm. What do you mean?
Confrontation बंद करो.
What do you mean? Compromise? What do you mean?
See, it's very simple, right?
Is this are you alluding to Delhi's unique system of government where the LG has a big role, where in spite of having such massive mandates that the AAP has received in 2 consecutive terms, you have a sort of handicapped government, for lack of a better word, not effective. Then of course you have the politics of the liquor scam, and therefore all of AAP's leadership landing up in jail. What is going on in Delhi? When you say compromise, it's exactly the opposite of the confrontation that
Exactly.
we've seen in Delhi in the past
So I
election.
want to go a little beyond just the structures of LG and what is happening, right?
Hmm, hmm,
Um, Atishi keeps saying that this is a North India problem, not just a Delhi problem, which is
hmm,
very, very true.
hmm.
Right. But the fact is that if it is a North India problem, like one of the things is bhattis, like brick bhattis,
Yeah.
thermal power plants, they're all around Delhi, right?
Hmm,
Those are one of the big pollutants, right? You tell us that,
hmm,
right? You tell me that there are so many bhattis, but there is no solution that comes out, right? Haryana, Punjab, UP, Rajasthan, right? When I say compromise, I mean compromise with all these governments also, right? Not just with the LG. I mean that you need to be a bridge between different ideologies, parties, etc. And you have to learn not to keep fighting all the time, right? You offer the olive branch. If they take it, great. Or then you talk to people who will be there inside the system, who will offer a olive branch as well. And I feel like one of the ways to do that is to talk to the bureaucracy. I feel like one of the things that netas tend to do, and I've seen them doing this, is that they will be like, "Mujhe sab pata hai." राइट,
hmm,
तुम मुझे मत बताओ, ऑफिसर्स को मैं ऑर्डर दूंगा और ऑफिसर सब करेंगे.
hmm,
आई फील लाइक दैट्स अ वेरी रॉन्ग अप्रोच. यू नीड टू कॉम्प्रोमाइज विद द ब्यूरोक्रेसी एज वेल. You need to end this confrontation and ego battle that is going on between the legislature and the executive, right? You have to work together with the bureaucracy. They are the people who are implementing it ultimately. They're the people who have come through a process of UPSC on ground experience. They have been transferred multiple times. They have to be given the power to actually do their job. And that is, I feel, a legislator's job to also be that support system for them. कि
hmm,
आप करो, मैं हूं आपके साथ में, I will protect you from all sorts of other things,
hmm,
right? I feel like this is what I mean by compromise. I'm going a little beyond just the usual LG versus government sort of a thing, right? The third thing is, I want to show this. I'm a content creator. I want to literally treat this like a vlogging project.
hmm.
Whatever I do, I will document it and I will put it out for you to see. What am
Hmm.
I doing today? Why am I doing this? I will explain it to you.
What was that process of getting onto the ballot like?
Yeah.
You filed your nomination papers, you took an oath. Was it an emotional moment for you?
It was, yes, I
I
would say
see
it
a lot
was.
of humor in how you express yourself, but I cannot but help see the romanticism and the idealism.
Oh, absolutely.
So was it an emotional experience? All of this so
Oh,
far.
very much. Because I mean, in my head, I have such low expectations from everything at this point of time that
Hmm.
I'm like, nahi hone wala hai. I started with nahi hone wala hai, right? Like, which is, there is a 5% chance my name actually goes on the ballot box, right?
You remember, of course, Sham Rangila's case
Yes,
last year in the general elections,
yes,
where
yes.
there were so many barriers to him even filing his papers
Yeah.
and then getting rejected after he filed them, right?
Absolutely. I was very prepared that, I don't know, like, again, I know that our system, our electoral system favors big parties
Mm.
before independent candidates, right? Individuals honestly don't matter to
But are you
this
seen as a
electoral system.
nuisance? Are you seen as ये nuisance value के लिए कर रहा है?
हाँ हाँ, obviously, like, vote काट रहा है, all those sort of
Hmm.
narratives are there, which is like, oh, independent candidate है मतलब हमारे वोट चुरा रहा है, बड़े पार्टी के वोट चुरा रहा है,
नहीं, वो तो
जीतेगा
सब
तो नहीं.
वो तो अदर कंटेस्टेंट्स की बात है, बट व्हाट अबाउट द ब्यूरोक्रेसी, द ऑफिसर्स, द पीपल
No,
you're meeting at different levels to get onto the ballot? Do they see you as a nuisance factor कि क्या ये
no, no.
सीरियस नहीं है?
And my experience with the bureaucracy has been great. And honestly, they have been treating each candidate equally, right? Of course, I did not have a system. I just went in myself. I have documented the whole thing. And I went in to ask some extremely basic, dumb questions, right? That was my whole thing. I'm going to do it myself, alone, everything, right? They were I would say they were annoyed in the beginning because they expect people to come knowing already what is supposed to be done, because obviously they deal with mostly party candidates who have already fought elections, or have people who have helped them fight elections. Then came me, who is just like out of nowhere. I'm asking ki sir deposit cash में देना है कि check में देना है, किधर देना है, क्या देना है. These are very basic things, right? Form दिया था तो form का sir column छोटा है, यहाँ पे कैसे भरूं? Like these are the kind of questions I was asking. Initially they were annoyed, but then later they realized that my intentions were genuine. So their attitude towards me was very nice. But there is a second factor to this, right? While they were nice to me, I could also see how they were rude to other people who were also coming to do this.
Other
Rude
independent
other
candidates.
independent candidates, because they get very frustrated. इतने लोग आते हैं.
Hmm.
Just one example, on the day of nomination, day off, right? Like 12 baje, an old gentleman walks in to the same place where I was checking the papers. They were checking my papers, and is like कि मुझे nomination file करना है, right? And the person who was on the help desk was like, sir, कौन से constituency से? And he's like, Saket. He didn't know that it doesn't fall in Malviya Nagar anymore. So they were like, sir, ये Saket हमारे यहाँ पे नहीं आता, उधर जाना पड़ेगा. So they were nice enough to like cart him to the place, right?
Hmm.
He went there, वहाँ के लोगों ने उनको वापस भेज दिया, right? He spent an hour just going like doddering इधर से उधर. And then they were like कि सर आपको हम बुकलेट देंगे, आपका आधार कार्ड लगेगा, आधार कार्ड की कॉपी लगेगी, because we have to register कि आपको एक बुकलेट दिया है नॉमिनेशन का. They were not saying no, but at
Hmm.
the same time this old alone doddering man couldn't run around taking printouts and coming there and sort of then giving the Aadhaar card and taking the nomination papers. Just the booklet that I got on day one. It's very sad when you think about this, right? Like there are people who want to do this. There are people who want to be a part of the system, be candidates. They know they won't win, but they have this constitution ने right दिया है, मैं करूंगा, right? Um, I did something different. What I did was I was extremely polite, and I feel like that worked in my advantage as well, because I went in saying, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, look at this face, it is a stupid face, please tell me what to do. Like, and honestly that is my attitude everywhere. Even with the campaign, I'm like, hi, I'm dumb, please tell me what to do, right? And it's interesting how people react to that.
In the virtual world, you have a following on X, you have a following on Instagram, you have a following on YouTube. Sadly, this following is not in the real world in Malviya Nagar, right? Uh, there may be some, of course, but you know what I'm saying. What
Yes.
is that like? What is it when you're looking, when you're exiting this virtual world in which you're popular, you have an audience that listens to you, one that interacts with you, and you get onto the ground where many people may not know you, and some who do may not care,
Yeah.
because they understand that India's politics is about parties.
So I wanted to test this out.
Hmm.
Also, it's a very interesting thing to see, right? Like virtually, I have 80,000 odd subscribers, 2 lakh on Twitter,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
70K on Instagram, whatever. Actually, on the ground where I live,
Hmm.
how many of them exist, right?
Hmm. What did you find?
Interestingly enough, there are a lot.
Okay.
Lot, when I say lot, I mean, let's say 50 people, right? But they're not registered voters of Malviya Nagar. They're
Hmm.
migrants, right?
Hmm.
They don't have registration in Malviya Nagar where they live. They might have it in their hometown or somewhere else. And of course, Malviya Nagar is a very limited area, right? Wahan pe
Sure.
bhi, if I find people, so it was difficult for me to get proposers because there were so few people who were actually registered
Hmm.
in Malviya Nagar.
Hmm.
They were very helpful. Like some of them actually helped me find some proposers,
Hmm.
like even though they were not
Hmm.
proposers. So that is one, right? I did a small test last week where we had to take permissions, right, for everything. So I've been filing permissions after permissions to do door to door and corner
Hmm.
meetings, everything. Everything got rejected except one. I got
Hmm.
permission to do flyer distribution,
And you get
right?
this permission from the police or from the election office?
So from 3 levels, so there is an e-Suvidha portal which I used to file my nomination also. There is a permission sort of place. So you file it. It goes through 3 levels. First is the election officials, the second is the MCD, and the third is the Delhi police. All
Hmm.
three have to give you okay, and then you can do the activity actually.
Wow. Every
So
single activity has a
every
time
single
limit.
activity, 48 hours before you have to file it. If it gets rejected, you have to take another 48 hours to file it again and then wait for it. So it's a very tiresome, bizarre process which I did not know about when I went
Yeah,
into
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
So I must have filed like some 15 to 16 forms, and so the one that got accepted was the flyer distribution. So I called people कि कौन है मालवीय नगर में, please come, we will do flyer distribution last weekend. So I
Hmm.
printed some flyers
So
and
volunteers, you call volunteers.
volunteers, yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes,
Hmm.
on ground cadre, if you want to call it that. uh, I was expecting 3 people to show up. 20 people showed up, right?
Not bad.
Not bad. I was like, that's interesting. So then we divided into teams and we spread across Malviya Nagar just doing flyer distribution, right? Next day also, Sunday, like 10 people showed up, right? Which was Republic Day. So a lot of people had trouble coming as well. But still, 10 people did show up. Interestingly enough, some people who did not show up on Sunday, on Monday and Tuesday, they had some flyers left. They came from there and started distributing it in Malviya Nagar, right? It was so like, even if there are 20 people, right, they believe in what I'm doing and they will do this. I'm like, this, if this is not success, I don't know what is. At this point of time, I have heard this, as I go around Malviya Nagar, some people have started recognizing me. Like I have heard whispers कि अरे यही लड़ रहा है ना, यही जा रहा है ना, लड़ रहा है ना, and then someone is like, जोर से बात मत कर, उसको सुनाई देगा. So uh, now I'm going to do a rally tomorrow
Hmm.
and day after,
Hmm.
in Malviya Nagar and Green Park. We got
For the
permission for
first time,
that.
you've got that permission for the first
Yes,
time.
yes, I'm very happy about that. That is an emotional moment for me.
How much money have you spent so far? Or is
So
that something that you want to tote up toward only at the end? Because you have to keep accounts for the election
yes,
commission,
I
isn't
have
it?
my expense register here right now. So about like 16 to 17,000, including the deposits, etc.
Hmm.
But it will be a little more than that,
Hmm.
because obviously, like, I have to like pay for the rally and the posters and more flyers and everything that has to be accounted for.
Hmm.
I feel like 25 to 30K is what will be spent by the end of this. Tomorrow and day after is the big spending sort of a thing. I'm estimating that.
Hmm.
Then, like, I have a friend helping me who is my cinematographer, honestly, who is like documenting everything, doing the things. So he has to be compensated.
Hmm.
I have a few people who they're not volunteers. I'm actually paying them. So they have to be paid for
Hmm.
helping me write reels and other stuff. So that will also be accounted for. So all those things are there.
Hmm.
All those things will be what I'll be spending money on. um, my upper limit is 1.5 lakh rupees,
Hmm.
but I think I'll be a little below 1.5 lakh now. Yeah.
I'm just imagining, somebody from a party, a candidate from a party listening to this conversation. Like, कौन आ गया? ये कौन है? ये क्या कर
I
रहा है?
know,
क्या
I
बोल रहा
know.
है ये?
It's I've been talking to party people also. Like, I
Sure.
mean, I have some friends who are working in
Yeah, yeah,
policy, politics, and
yeah.
whatever. And basically, they're. I know, like, internally, whoever knows that I'm contesting, they were like, हाँ, उसको मजाक मस्ती करने दो,
Mm,
मजाक मस्ती कर रहा है
mm,
वो.
mm.
That basically dismissive, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
understand why. I understand. There is no hard feeling
Mm,
towards people who are saying this, because honestly, if you look at someone, if you look at me from the outside, this is a crazy exercise.
yeah.
This is an unrealistic, idealistic, weird exercise.
Mm,
For example, I am waiting for permissions. Nobody else will wait for permissions, right?
mm,
मेरे घर के सामने रोज बीजेपी वाले और कांग्रेस वाले आके स्टिकर चिपका के फिर भी जा रहे हैं, right?
mm.
I asked there, when the permission training was happening, कि can I put posters on my wall? And they're like, नहीं नहीं, MCD से permission लेना पड़ेगा. So clearly, nobody cares about permissions if
You're,
you
you're,
think about
you're,
it.
you're playing by the rules, every
Yeah,
single one of them, and you're trying
yeah,
to see how that works.
yeah.
Um,
I'm the
Meghnad,
first one to show up to file my expenses. They're very impressed. It's like if they're calling everybody else कि sir आ जाओ, expense file करना है, आज expense file
I
करना है.
thought they were
I'm
holding you up as
I
an example.
I'm there before the officers show up. I'm there, I sit there, I'm like, ये लो, expenses, सब vouchers, everything I have, बैंक से खर्चा हो रहा है, all the things, and they're very impressed. They're like, okay, we don't have to call you, we don't have to run after you at least.
Meghnad, uh, zoom out of your campaign and suss out the competition for us. Somnath Bharti,
Yes.
three-time MLA, and has had over 50% of the
Yeah,
vote share.
57% last
Yeah.
time. Yes.
And then you have Satish Upadhyay of the
Yes.
BJP,
Yes.
and you have
Jitendra
Jitendra
Kochar.
Kochar of the Congress. So these are three big parties, and Delhi seems to be a three-cornered fight if you
Mm.
look at it on paper. And of course, if you hear BJP and AAP, then it's just a two-cornered fight, and Congress is just an irritant, right? That
Yes.
seems to be
Yes.
the political narrative that's coming out. If you take off your candidate's hat at this point of time and wear the hat of the political observer, the journalist, the a person who follows what's going on
Mm.
with great interest and passion, what are you making of Delhi's election scenario this time round?
Um.
We saw AAP go from 67 to 62,
Yes.
and
Yes.
now in 2025, do you see the love that Dilliwalas have showered on the AAP intact, or do you see that love getting a reality check?
um it's been a very interesting exercise for me to find out about what is the sentiment, right? Which is because, again, I'm going about
Yeah,
asking this to people and getting an idea of how
yeah,
it is as well.
yeah. And
um
not as somebody out as the observer, but as a participant.
of
Yeah,
course, like, it's my
yeah,
competition
correct.
ultimately, right? So I have to
Yeah,
find out what is
yeah.
happening.
Mm,
One thing very interesting, right? Malviya Nagar, if you just look at the constituency, I feel like it actually applies to most constituencies in
mm,
Delhi. There are rich areas and there are poor areas, and it is starkly different, right? There are, like, in Malviya Nagar, there are places like Green Park Market, Gulmohar Park, Uday Park, which are very elite, rich people live there, right? Then we also have Khidki, we have Humayunpur, we have Hos Khas village areas, and all these places which are, Begusarai, all these places which are, sort of, I wouldn't call them slums in the traditional way, but unauthorized colonies, or like a large concentrated of poor people who live there, right? There is a divide, very stark divide in Delhi. Whenever you go to these areas and talk to them, they're like Aam Aadmi Party. Like, wherever you go to, like, underprivileged people, they are like Aam Aadmi Party, right? But whenever you go to rich areas, they're like BJP, right? Everywhere, it's like, it's so stark, like, whenever I've seen this pattern everywhere. um and it's actually repeating what happened last time as well, right? Because last time also, if you remember, the media was like, oh, bahut close contest hai, like, bahut close contest hai. Ultimately, it turned out it wasn't, right? The reason is because they don't talk to the underprivileged, right? They don't go in those areas where people are voting from large numbers, giant concentrations of people who are voting from large numbers. They will come to, like, a market area where there would be the elite hanging out, like, in Green Park Market, for example. Starbucks के बाहर अगर बात करोगे तो तुमको कौन मिलेगा वहां पे, राइट? अंदर, स्टारबक्स के अंदर जाके अगर आप वर्कर से बात करोगे, that is where you will actually understand what is happening. Um, so th- so my assessment of this times thing is, it is a class war. It is definitely a class war,
mm,
right? Caste, religion, I don't think it matters. It is basically about मैं रईस हूँ और तू गरीब है. That is what is happening in Delhi. The income inequality is terrible here, right? Across the country, yes, it is very evident in Delhi,
mm,
right? There are the haves and there are the haves not.
mm,
The haves will throw money at their problems and the problems will go away. They will be like, oh, nahi, BJP आना चाहिए,
mm, mm,
right? The have nots are the ones who are like, school चाहिए, ये चाहिए, sewage system चाहिए, basics.
mm, mm,
पानी नहीं आ रहा है area में, right? And they do trust the Aam Aadmi Party when they say that we pani लाएंगे, because honestly, the water is available. It's dirty water,
mm,
but पानी आ रहा है, right?
mm,
RO लगा लेंगे. That is the situation where we are right now. Until like 10 years ago, it was worse, right? Electricity is a big thing. Like, electricity is genuinely a big thing, which is 24/7 electricity मिल रहा है. Inverters use नहीं करने पड़ते. Like, it's a big thing for people who live in Delhi, right? um Free electricity मिल रहा है, etc. जो भी है. Schools, yes. Hospitals, I'm getting mixed reactions even from the underprivileged. what they tell me is that medicines are available but only basic medicines, like सर्दी खांसी या whatever का मेडिसिन मिल जाता है मोहल्ला क्लिनिक में. बट डॉक्टर क्या करता है कि टेस्टिंग के लिए बाहर भेजता है, वहां पे हमारा पैसा खर्च होता है. बाहर कोई कोई मेडिसिन अवेलेबल नहीं हुआ तो बाहर जाके खरीदना पड़ता है. That is a big problem, right? So there are mixed opinions, but overall meta view, it's a class war. The privileged are supporting BJP, the underprivileged are supporting up.
Delhi does something very interesting. It goes all out for the BJP in the general elections, in the parliamentary elections, and then assembly elections. It goes all out for AAP. At least in the last two consecutive elections at both levels, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything there that you've noticed or find interesting, or I mean, can you explain that in any fashion from your experience?
I feel like if there is one place where people are politically aware in India, it is Delhi.
Mm,
You have people having very interestingly nuanced opinions here, right? They do understand the concept of center and state, right? कि हाँ मतलब मोदी जी को प्राइम मिनिस्टर बना दिया ना, बहुत ज्यादा पावर नहीं देना है, इसीलिए स्टेट में केजरीवाल, मोदी जी उधर. they when you I've done this. So when I asked someone ki what do you think about the fight going on between the two, like people are saying कि यार ये झगड़ा बंद करेंगे तो फिर अच्छा होगा हमारा.
mm,
Like if they stop fighting, if they actually think about working, it will be great for us, right? But
mm,
at the same time they also say कि अगर एक ही आदमी पावर में आ गया दोनों जगह तो फिर तो हमको कुचल देंगे,
mm,
राइट? अभी ठीक है, अभी झगड़े में बिजी है वो लोग. तो वैसे कभी कभी मिल जाता है, काम हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, वट एवर, बिकॉज बोथ ऑफ देम आर ट्राइंग टू प्लीज पीपल, राइट, विच इज अ ग्रेट थिंग.
yeah.
बट इफ इट्स जस्ट वन पर्सन और
Mm,
वन पार्टी, they know कि then they will not care about us, which I found very interesting as well. They want that sort of balance to be maintained, balance of power. Another thing I heard, which is केजरीवाल को 10 साल दे दिया है, थोड़ा उसका पावर कम होना चाहिए अभी.
mm,
They want them to win,
mm,
but सीट कम मिलना चाहिए. Again, see, very nuanced opinion, which is also, I have not heard things like this when I went to West Bengal or when I went to like cover elections in Punjab or
or
Maharashtra.
when you see what happened in Maharashtra.
Exactly, Maharashtra. Maharashtra में तो I have no hope. Mumbai में most politically unaware people ever, and I don't mind saying this. Like
Mm.
they अच्छा, Mumbai rant aside. But like my thing is that
I'm not going to come to the defense of my city because I understand what you're saying.
yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Anuradha. No, no, no hard feelings. But honestly, in Delhi, you will find a lot of nuanced opinions on the
Mm.
street if you
So
bother
you're
to find
saying
out.
the sentiment as you're seeing it right now is that it's a class war.
Yeah.
It's the haves versus the have-nots that will vote on on February 5th,
Yes.
and that you will, and in that case, the AAP is still seen as the party of the have-nots,
Yes. Correct.
more or less,
Correct.
more or
Yeah.
less,
Yeah.
and they want the AAP to be held a bit more accountable. So perhaps they will calibrate how much power they get in
Yeah,
terms
I
of.
mean, again, they want it to be that way. I don't know if it will happen that way. It's a
Yeah,
very difficult thing to do when you're actually going to vote.
yeah.
But that's the feeling. Another thing I heard yesterday was that the peripheries of Delhi will decide the elections, right? Which
Mm,
is Northeast Delhi and all these Shahadra and
mm.
Burari and all these areas where the riots also happened. That is
Yeah,
what will
yeah.
decide
In
the Delhi
Northeast, yeah.
elections. I feel like the BJP, I don't know what is happening there, but from what I hear from people who have come here from there, and I've been speaking to them, वहाँ पे I feel like there is a pro BJP sentiment definitely going on. So it's a very different sort of feeling as opposed to South Delhi, Southwest Delhi, and
Mm.
then Northeast Delhi, North Delhi. It's very like regionally, it's very mixed, I feel like.
When you talked about your decision to do this and to contest these assembly elections, to restore people's faith in democracy is something you've said, to show that anybody should and can do this. And there is, like you also explained, a culture of independence participating in our electoral process, and sometimes for political reasons. So the opposition parties they put up candidates, they support independents to cut votes, and for different reasons. Sometimes they're rebels, and that's a very political independent candidate, right?
Yeah.
And you have candidates like you who are not political in that sense, but have an idealistic view and who want to, sort of embark on this journey. The question is that, when the AAP came to power, and we all know the background to that, and the India Against Corruption movement, etc., we saw we saw the non-political independent, I'm putting in quotes, teachers, doctors, scholars, coalescing around the India Against Corruption movement against Arvind Kejriwal and forming a political party, and it was supposed
Yes.
to be the party with the difference. In 2025, 10 years and more of them being in power, do you see them as a regular political party somewhere, or do you see that experiment that the Aam Aadmi Party represented and which Delhi totally validated? Do you see that experiment losing, where do you see that experiment actually?
Um. So, if back in 2012, 2013, I was also like a very like, oh yes, India against corruption person, because I was
Why do you
also
think
very
I brought
frustrated.
it up, Meghnad?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like super against the UPA government back then. Everybody was very angry and frustrated. I went to Ramlila Maidan, all the things. Then, when Arvind Kejriwal came to power, the first thing that he does is he allies with the Congress to form government, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, that doesn't feel right. Like, it just like all this time we were like, like fighting for something that is different from the Congress, and now you are fighting with like you're forming government with it didn't sit right with me. Somewhere it was like buzzing in my head. Then he resigns, then he forms the government again. Then I'm like, okay, fine. Aam Aadmi Party doing whatever it is. I'm very fascinated by Aam Aadmi Party's journey after that, which is it has sort of it is they call themselves the fastest growing political startup, which is an interesting way to put it. I feel like it is true. What I feel has happened, unfortunately, is that there is a centralization of power that has been going on over the last few decades, right? Which is दिल्ली से सब orders जाएंगे सब जगह पे, दिल्ली से ही कमान चलेगा, right? And that has happened because of political parties in general, the concept of political parties, right? Political parties have a political leader with a symbol, right? People vote for that. We know this. Like, even now when you go out on the streets, people might not even know who their candidate is. They just want to vote for Kamal, Modi ji, or Kejriwal and Jhadu, or Rahul Gandhi and Hath. um, that's a problem, because you don't hold your candidate accountable
Yeah,
anymore. They
yeah.
don't matter, किसी को भी डाल दो, right? बस nomination भरने का है, बस कर दिया. Which means that it is extremely disappointing for people like me, who genuinely have worked in policy, who want to see some radical policy solutions, etc. We just keep away, which is like कि मैं थोड़ी गुंडा हूँ. Like, because gunde are the ones who are supposedly getting tickets now, right? Gunde or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You need some sort of like, either you have money or
More
whatever,
muscle,
ticket
yeah,
खरीद लिया
yeah,
जो भी है.
either of.
So वहां पे तो दरवाजा बंद ही कर दिया, and political parties ने ही बंद कर दिया, right? Then when you think about how do you decentralize power, right? One option is independent candidates. I want to try that out, right? So the reason why I'm standing as an independent candidate is also a larger point that I want to make, that मेरा कोई party नहीं है, right? So we have the anti-defection law, which
Yeah,
means that if
yeah,
people
yeah,
go to the legislative assembly or parliament, they have to vote according to the party whip,
yeah.
which essentially means that the party leader is the one who is deciding how laws are getting passed, not
And
individual
therefore,
candidates.
MLAs and MPs are not accountable to the people who elect them, right?
Yes, they are accountable to the party bosses.
Hmm.
So on your election trail, you are saying मैं आपकी सुनूंगा, मैं आपके problem solve करूंगा, etc. But when you win, you don't have that option. You have to listen to your party boss. उनके problem solve करने हैं आपको. लोग तो छोड़ ही दो. If the party boss thinks that नहीं, लोगों का problem solve करना चाहिए, then maybe we will solve it. But for an independent candidate, there is no such thing, because I don't have a party. The anti-defection law will not apply to me. If there are more independent candidates who end up in the legislative assembly, I can form an alliance with them, right? I can offer outside support, I can support good policies and oppose the bad ones. I feel like that is the one way to actually ensure better legislation. That is the one way to ensure decentralization of power. The only bosses I will have are the people who voted for me, right? They will be telling me what to do, and I'm their employee doing things.
So, if I were to ask you that question again, do you think that over 10 years and more of seeing the ARP in action as a political party, that it has become like every other political party?
It is inevitable.
Hmm.
I mean, I would say it is not just about Aam Aadmi Party. It is just inevitable. It is a system problem,
Hmm.
right? Which is like what do you say? It is a feature, not a bug, right? So if you enter and if you are a new political aspirant and you go and you start your own party, right? You are actually doing the same thing, and you will end up doing the same thing whether you like it or not, because that is how party structures are made. Prashant Kishore is a good example. He also started his own party, right? He put up four candidates. They got decent results. I wouldn't say they won or whatever, but I was surprised that one of them got like some 30,000 votes in the by polls, etc. That's a big number for a starting year. Now in Bihar elections, they will do better. I feel like they would make a more of a mark. Maybe that's a long term thing. But then again, Prashant Kishore का भी तो solution वही है ना कि party form करते हैं. He's not going out and saying कि नहीं नहीं मैं ना independent candidates खड़ा करूंगा. Because if you want people to have power and you want to decentralize it, you need to first empower your actual candidates who are standing there, right? If you have these four very amazing people with great CV, etc., why are they becoming a part of your party? Just give them support to fight as independents. That's what I'm also trying to do, which is like I feel like there needs to be a guide, because no party is going to help me. I know, I went to parties, I asked them कि कैसे करना है, they're like तू independent खड़ा होगा, तेरे की तो help नहीं करनी है मुझे,
Hmm.
right? Obviously, like why would they? There is no help for independent candidates, there is no money, there is no cadre, there is no party symbol.
Yeah.
Important.
Yeah.
I cannot
You
choose
you
my
you
symbol.
crowdsourced your party symbol in a way, isn't it? You
I
had
did.
a
I did a live stream. I showed chat my options out of the 70. Which ones do you like? There was a Reddit thread where we
yeah,
voted, and they chose the pen
yeah.
symbol, which I
Kalam,
got.
not bad. Kalam, actually, you got quite lucky with the Kalam, right? It
I
could have
know.
been yours.
I'm very surprised it's available. I was like, okay. Um, but see, here's the thing. This is a big disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
That I can't start campaigning until I get my symbol.
No, but see, that's the thing, right? If we had state funding, and if we had that method, then independents would be able to get funding and get
Yeah.
airtime, and all of that would be equal for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Money power would not be, electoral bonds would not be. There would be so many things that would not be. We would be another country, Meghnad.
Yeah, and also another disadvantage is that I have a 40 lakh ka limit as a candidate that I can spend on the elections. But the parties can spend more. Like, so their candidates will have that limit.
Yeah.
Parties can put up hoardings, parties can do social media advertising infinitely, like plaster everything, radio पे ad डालेंगे, TV पे ad डालेंगे, सब जगह ad डालेंगे. I can't do that.
Well,
Yeah.
many different, every election comes with four, five, six burning topics, which then mainstream media and other media play with. And, there's the tutu me, uchalo, whatever, it's done. What do you think has emerged as the big topic of conversation this time
Oh my
in
god,
Delhi?
it's so dumb. Sorry, I have to say this. This whole golden commode of Kejriwal, I can hear it. Oh my god, sorry, but this is horrible. Horrifying. You are giving people, like, for example, if there are two rooms, right? One is like full of healthy food, salads, amazing, like everything is healthy, all amazing stuff. The second is full of sweets and garbage food, like chola bhatura, everything, right? And I have a crowd of people and I tell them, guys, healthy food ke liye idhar, unhealthy food ke liye idhar, right? Where do you think people will go, right? I'm showing healthy food. I'm telling them कि भाई solutions ढूंढने हैं, problems है, ये है वो है, they will always go to the unhealthy food. This party, all parties are literally giving chola bhatura to people on the streets, literally, like लंगर लगा रहे हैं, right? Stalls खड़े कर देते हैं, छोला भटूरा दे रहे हैं, कोई salad नहीं बांट रहा है, right? कोई ऐसे healthy food नहीं बांट रहा है, and literally and figuratively they are doing this with their campaigning also, which is तुम एक ऐसे रैंडम वीडियो छाप दो कहीं पे, न्यूज चैनल्स उठा लेंगे, दैट इज द छोला भटूरा दैट पीपल वांट. इट्स एंटरटेनिंग एंड इट्स सैड. इट्स एक्सट्रीमली, you are insulting people. I feel like all these parties end up insulting people because they are like, हाँ हाँ ये dumbass लोगों को तो यही अच्छा लगता है ना, मतलब wrestling match ही तो दिखाना है तो दिखाते हैं, the biggest wrestling match, the best wrestling match. Kejriwal is also doing this. He did this whole Yamuna में poison डाल दिया bullshit. Yeah, what is that?
What was that video with Ambedkar blessing him?
Oh yeah, AI. Oh my God, that is
And that was an
again.
official release.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
still,
AI,
it's still,
AI based.
yeah,
Kejriwal as Santa Claus,
yeah,
Ambedkar blessing Kejriwal. I don't understand. But this whole again, बीजेपी के हरियाणा ने पॉइजन डाल दिया apparently, इसमें यमुना में.
Yamuna mein.
Yamuna is poisonous all the time. I mean we pay attention to it during Chhat Puja जब झाग दिखता है.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, it's a very terrible river. Like I mean, honestly. And then next day you see the Haryana chief minister going and drinking water and spitting it out, whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Is this the discourse we are talking about?
So, Meghnad, what makes you go after these windmills? What makes you stay idealistic? Because you're seeing it pretty up close and you're seeing it for what it is, right? And yet you don't sound cynical. You're not, and that's fantastic. So how do you manage to keep this hope, the optimism, the faith? How do you keep the faith?
Um, I have a very obvious thing in my head, right? So, I have a lovely community. I
Hmm.
have managed to build a lovely community, and that is what keeps me going. I keep telling my community that I'm doing a trust fall exercise right here, right? You know, I'm standing on a table and I'm falling backwards, hoping that you guys will catch me, right? Every time I do a live stream, there are like 600, 700 people watching, right? People are like, अरे वो देख वो तो 30,000 मिलते हैं, whatever. Screw you, man. अगर physical space में, if you put 700 people in an auditorium, I'm filling an auditorium twice a week for 3 hours and they listen. And then after that, there are 10,000 people who are watching me again, right? You also said you might not watch the whole thing, but you're catching bits of it, pieces of it. I feel like that is what keeps me going. I don't want like I don't think I will ever get like a massive view, honestly. Like I mean, I don't think I will ever go viral. I know I do English content. I know I do very nuanced content. I cannot be a Munawar Faruqi. I cannot be a Big Boss contestant. I cannot be a Get Ready with Me model, right? I know that civics is boring, government is boring, bureaucracy is even more boring, but that is, I feel like it's important. And I feel like there would be people out there who will also think it's important and they will come to me.
Yeah. No, and
That
I
is
think
what I'm doing.
and you're being modest, and perhaps in the context of the kind of numbers YouTube is capable of generating, maybe your modesty makes sense. But having said that, you've managed to imbue civics and citizenship and policy chat with a lot of fun and a
Yeah.
lot of creative flair, which is great. So, what are you going to start your campaign rally with? Is there like a big statement or I don't know, some narebazi? Kya kar rahe ho?
So today, as we are recording this, is when I will release the manifesto later in the night. You will find it on my channel if you're watching this later. Um, it has been made by again my community people. There are 70 people who are helping me in this campaign, virtually and non-virtually both. 70 people is a big number. Honestly, I did not expect this, but they have managed to just capture all of my sort of ideas and everything and put it into a beautiful manifesto together. Today, after the stream, it is going to be intense for 2 days. So I'm going to do like this massive, I guess, distillation exercise, if you want to call it that way,
Mm, mm,
about how to get those manifesto points to the people. with just 2 rallies in 4 hours, because that is the amount of permission I have. Let's see if it works. Let's see if I manage to convince a few people.
Meghna, I wish you managed to convince a lot of people. This idealism is infectious, at least to some people. It is to me.
Thank you.
I wish you a lot of good luck. We'll keep tabs.
Yes,
I'm not sure about your deposit coming back, but I definitely hope that you're more than Nota. Right?
I
You
hope
have to be
so.
more than Nota because Nota is not a good idea.
Also, like, I mean, one of the things I've been saying throughout my campaign is that I don't want Aam Aadmi Party, BJP or Congress votes, because those are people who want to eat chola bhaturas. Let them eat chola bhaturas. I want the healthy people, right? Basically, तुम लोग अगर नोटा कर रहे हो, right, that is the worst thing. That is like eating just sweets. Just don't do that. Basically, एक नाम ऊपर देखो, number 7 is where I will appear. वहां पे दबा दो. I'm putting in some effort. Reward my effort. That's my proposition. नोटा मत करो, right? नोटा मत करो. मुझे नोटा वाले वोट्स चाहिए.
I wish you a lot of good luck. You have to come. You have to do better than Nota.
I
Okay,
hope so.
and this is just the first outing.
Yes.
More power to you, Meghnad. I
Thank
wish
you.
you a lot of good luck.
Thank you. Lovely talking to you.